I'm Owen Hayes, and I live in Oakwood Heights. It's a suburban neighborhood where every house looks like a postcard and the mailboxes gleam with military precision. It's the kind of place that promises harmony but harbors secrets, and that's secrets. Name is Karen Voss, the HOA president who rules with a clipboard and a grudge. This story is about her, me, and my son, Liam, whose hearing aid she stole from our mailbox, thinking she could silence us. She didn't know I'm a federal postal inspector, and I was about to deliver her justice. Liam's 12, with dark curls and a grin that lights up a room even on his quietest days. He's deaf, relying on cochlear implants to hear the world. Voice the birds, his favorite music. 5 years ago, after a messy divorce, I moved us to Oakwood Heights for stability. I'm a wiry guy, soft-spoken, used to tracking mail fraud and securing postal routes in my job. But here, I'm just Liam's dad. I don't advertise my role as a federal postal inspector, enforcing laws to protect the mail system. All I wanted was a safe space for Liam, and we carved it out in our little corner of suburbia. Liam's hearing aids were his lifeline, custom-fitted. Cochlear implants delivered monthly by mail for adjustments. He'd wait by the mailbox, his excitement palpable as he checked for the package, his fingers tracing the box's edges. I'd watch from the porch, my heart swelling at his joy. Neighbors loved him too. Mrs. Patel, the baker across the street, would wave with a cookie, saying, "Liam's smile is our sunshine." Kids like Jake from next door would sign with him, learning ASL, and Liam would beam, his confidence growing. The hearing aids were more than devices, they were his connection to us. Everyone saw that except Karen. Karen Voss had been a thorn in our side since we arrived. Maybe it was the ramp I built for Liam's occasional wheelchair days, which she called an eyesore in her first spiteful letter. Maybe it was Liam signing in the yard, too odd for her perfect Oakwood Heights. She'd march over, her short gray hair stiff, her deep neckline blouses flashing, her curvy, bulky frame casting a shadow as she barked about unapproved modifications or excessive gestures. Her eyes, cold and piercing, lingered on. Liam's implants like they offended her. I'd nod, adjust the ramp, pay her fines, and keep the peace. Liam had enough battle-schooled taunts, the struggle to adapt to the echo of his mom's absence. I thought I could handle Karen's pettiness. Ha! I was wrong. It was a crisp November afternoon when the trouble erupted. Liam was at the mailbox, his curls bouncing, checking for his latest hearing aid shipment. I was on the porch, sipping tea, reviewing postal reports, glancing at him with a smile. His cochlear implants had been acting up, and the new ones were due. Then Karen stormed over. Her face twisted with fury, her clipboard clutched like a weapon. "What's this junk in your mailbox?" she snapped, pointing at the package. "It's cluttering the street." I stood, keeping my voice steady. "Those are Liam's hearing aids, Karen. They're medical equipment, delivered by mail, and none of your concern." She scoffed, her eyes flicking to Liam, who'd frozen, his hands signing help instinctively. "Hearing aids? They're an eyesore. I'll remove them if you don't." She scribbled on her clipboard and stormed off, her heels clicking. Like a threat. Liam's eyes met mine, wide with fear, his signing halting. "Will she take my ears, Dad?" His voice, muffled without the implants, broke my heart. I knelt beside him, squeezing his shoulder. "No way, buddy. I'll protect them." But his trust wavered, and a knot tightened in my gut. Karen wasn't bluffing. I spent the next day securing the mailbox, adding a lock, notifying the post office of the delivery. I called Liam's audiologist, who confirmed the shipment's importance, sending a letter to back it up. I photographed the mailbox, pristine and legal, to counter Karen's clutter claim. I even drafted a polite note to Karen, attaching the letter, hoping to appeal to reason. But Karen didn't understand reason, she understood power. That? Monday, while I was at work investigating a mail theft case and Liam was at school. Karen struck. Mrs. Patel called me, her voice frantic. "Owen, get home quick. Karen's at your mailbox with a crowbar. She's stealing Liam's package." I floored my postal truck, heart racing, weaving through traffic. When I pulled into Oakwood Heights, the sight hit me like a punch. The mailbox? Door hung open, the package gone, a crowbar discarded on the grass. Karen stood there, arms crossed, her smirk sharp as a blade, the stolen box tucked under her arm. Neighbors watched, some filming, others whispering, their faces a mix of shock and guilt. "What the hell have you done?" I roared, leaping from my truck, my voice shaking the air. Karen's smirk widened, her voice dripping with fake authority. "I warned you, Owen. That package was a violation. The HOA approved its removal. You stole my son's hearing aids." I shouted, stepping closer, fists clenched. "He's deaf, Karen. You knew that." She rolled her eyes, unfazed. "Don't play the pity card. Rules are rules." She turned, clutching the box tighter, and walked off, her heels clicking like a victory march. I wanted to chase her, to make her feel Liam's silence. But Mrs. Patel grabbed my arm, her eyes wet. "Liam's coming home soon, Owen." I stared at the empty mailbox, my chest tightening. How was I going to tell him? I searched the yard, hoping the package had fallen. But it was gone. Mrs. Patel stayed, wringing her hands, muttering, "That woman's evil." Neighbors like Mr. Rivera, the mechanic next door, offered quiet apologies. "We should have stopped her," he said, head low. Their regret didn't help. Karen had stolen Liam's voice, and I had to face his heartbreak. When Liam's school bus pulled up, I braced myself. He wheeled down the ramp, his curls bouncing, his old implants flickering. Then he saw the mailbox. His face fell, his hands signing where. Frantically, I knelt, signing back, "Gone, buddy." Karen took them. His eyes filled with tears, his signing slowing, a silent sob shaking him. "Why, Dad? Why?" he mouthed, his wheelchair rocking. I pulled him close, his grief soaking into me, my own eyes burning. Mrs. Patel wept, and neighbors lowered their phones, some turning away. I held Liam until his tears slowed, his small body trembling. "I'm so sorry, champ," I whispered, signing it too. "I'll fix this." I wheeled him inside, his old implants buzzing faintly. Ken tucked him into bed, his curls damp, his eyes hollow. That night, I sat at the kitchen table, the empty mailbox a dark wound through the window. Karen thought she'd won, but she didn't know who I was. As a federal postal inspector, I protect the mail system. And Karen's theft wasn't just cruelty, was a federal crime under 18 U.S.C. Section 1708. Tampering with mail, carrying fines, and jail time. She'd also violated HOA rules and trespassed. I was going to nail her with the law. The next morning, I built my case with forensic precision. I pulled postal records confirming the shipments tracking to our mailbox. I reviewed HOA bylaw. Scrin had no authority to touch mail, a clear breach. I photographed the damaged mailbox, the crowbar's marks, the missing package. I called my supervisor at the Postal Inspection Service, who verified the theft's jurisdiction, launching an investigation. I filed a federal complaint, citing Karen's intent to harm Liam's medical needs, backed by his audiologist's letter. I contacted the local police, who logged the trespassing. Every piece of evidence was a link in the chain around Karen. I went further, gathering neighbor testimonies. Mrs. Patel wrote a detailed account of Karen's bullying fines for Liam's ramp threats to report his signing. Mr. Rivera described her intimidating the block, how she'd find him for a rusty bike. I collected a dozen statements, painting Karen as a tyrant. The evidence was ironclad, a legal hammer. A week later, the HOA held an emergency meeting in the community center, a cramped room with flickering lights and creaky chairs. Karen sat at the front, her clipboard poised, her smirk defiant. The stolen box beside her. Neighbors packed the seats, buzzing with anger. Mrs. Patel clutched a photo of Liam signing, her eyes fierce. I walked in, not as Owen the quiet dad, but as Owen Hayes, federal postal inspector, my badge clipped to my belt, a thick folder of evidence in hand. Karen opened the meeting, her voice syrupy with false concern. Let's address the Oakwood Heights mailbox issue. That package was clutter, and I removed it for the HOA's benefit. I stood, my voice cutting through the room. You stole my son's hearing aids, Karen. Liam's deaf. Those implants were his lifeline, and you took them to silence him. The room went silent. Karen's smirk twitched, but she held her ground. It was a violation, Owen. Don't exaggerate. It's a federal crime, I said, stepping forward, handing the board my folder. You tampered with U.S. mail under 18 U.S.C. Section 1708, a felony. You violated HOA bylaws, trespassed, and endangered a disabled child. I've filed charges with the Postal Inspection Service. Gasps rippled through the crowd. I plugged a USB into the projector and played a neighbor's video. Karen prying open the mailbox. Pocketing the box, her smirk clear. Mrs. Patel sobbed, holding up Liam's photo. A man shouted, "She's a thief." Karen leaped up, red-faced. This is a setup. You're attacking me. It's the law, I said, my badge glinting. I'm a federal postal. Inspector, you stole from my son, and you're done. The room erupted. Neighbors chanted, "Step down." Mrs. Patel waved Liam's photo, her voice cracking. You hurt that boy. The board three nervous suits whispered frantically. The chairman, Mr. Kim, stood, voice shaky. We'll vote to remove Karen. Cheers drowned her protests, her face crumpling as her power faded. Karen sank. Her clipboard, useless. The box still beside her. I didn't gloat. I packed my folder, nodded at Mrs. Patel, and left. The real fight was federal, and I was ready. The law hit Karen like a freight train. The Postal Inspection Service charged her with mail tampering, a felony carrying a $250,000 fine and up to 5 years in prison. Trespassing and HOA violations added $2,000 in penalties. In court, I testified in my inspector's uniform, badge shining, voice steady but heavy with Liam's pain. I detailed the hearing aids roll, Karen's deliberate theft, and the trauma inflicted. Liam's audiologist spoke, his words cutting. Those implants were his bridge to the world. Their loss isolated him. The video played, Karen's smirk damning in the silent courtroom. Mrs. Patel testified, her voice trembling, recounting Liam's tears by the mailbox. The judge was relentless. You stole from a disabled child and violated federal law, he said, his gavel poised. Karen got 3 years in prison, 5 years probation, and a $50,000 fine to cover Liam's new implants. Her lawyer floundered, and she left in cuffs, head bowed. Karen's house went up for sale. Her reign over Oakwood Heights ended. Neighbors rallied. Mrs. Patel organized a fundraiser, collecting enough for new implant stop-tier models with advanced features. Mr. Rivera wired them, and Jake and other kids learned new signs to welcome Liam back. The installation day was a celebration. Neighbors brought snacks, music played, and Liam heard his name called, his grin returning. Liam didn't adjust instantly. The trauma lingered, his trust shaken. But one evening I called his name, and he turned, his new implants humming. Thanks, Dad, he signed, his voice clear. I hugged him, my heart full. Always, Liam, I signed back. Oakwood Heights. Healed, the mailbox stood secure, and Liam's laughter rang. Karen was gone, and we were whole again.